Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Juliet, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. Before I pass it over to our speaker, let me cover a few housekeeping items. At the top of your screen are multiple engagement tools you can use. All tools are resizable and movable, so feel free to move them around to get the most out of your desktop space. You can expand your presentation area or maximize it to full screen by clicking on the arrows in the top right corner. If you have any audio or video issues, you can find answers to some common technical issues located at the Help widget at the top of your screen. Please note that a copy of today's slide deck and additional resources are available in the resource list. Have a look and download everything that you may find useful. Also, the webinar will be recorded and sent via the email you registered with. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can submit them through the Q&A widget. We're here to answer you live via the chat, so don't hesitate to reach out throughout the presentation. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker. Today we're joined by Cary Bryczek, Director of Solutions for Aerospace and Defense at Jama Software. With over 20 years in product development, Cary has specialized as Principal Test Architect for requirements and test management tools. Her expertise spans SDLC and artifact traceability, ensuring seamless progression from requirements to validation. Currently, as Director of Solutions, she showcases Jama Connect and live traceability to clients during trials, emphasizing the benefits of effective requirements and test management. And with that, I'll pass it over to you, Cary.
Thanks for the introduction, Juliet. So here's a quick look at what we will cover today. And in the end, we'll have a Q&A, of course. So we'll talk about some strategies for work breakdown structure construction. Obviously, we'll talk about what a WBS is used for. We'll look at a WBS hierarchy and the product breakdown structure, kind of talk about the differences. We'll see a live example in Jama Connect, and we'll finish up with maybe some possible extensions that you might use in Jama through integration. So what is a work breakdown structure? I went out there and did some research. Project Management Institute talks about a work breakdown structure being that it defines a deliverable-oriented hierarchical decomposition of the work to be executed by the project team to accomplish the objectives. So really, when you see these kinds of definitions, the important parts are the deliverable oriented and the work. So it's not like a task list. It's what you're doing to produce the product or the system that you're building. The Defense Acquisition University defines a WBS as a product-oriented family tree of hardware, software, services, data, and facilities. Right. So the theme really is this product-oriented and a tree kind of composition of the work breakdown structures. And it's not only composed of the product pieces itself, but the services and the data and the facilities and the results of the systems engineering effort. So it's the effort plus the product itself. So who uses work breakdown structures? Really, they're required or strongly recommended in various industries and government sectors, especially where project management, cost control, and systems engineering are critical. Aerospace and defense contractors, they are required to submit a WBS as part of their proposals and their contracts. They are used for cost estimation, scheduling, and risk management. Construction and engineering firms. WBS is essential for managing large infrastructure projects. It's often required by clients or even regulatory bodies. IT software development, project management professionals. So there's a lot of people that are project management professionals that are using a WBS as part of their repertoire to deliver good projects or even consult with organizations to deliver good project management practices. A WBS has lots of standards and guidelines to assist practitioners. So, in many cases, following the specific guidance within the documents is mandatory. Um, Here I've just highlighted some notable guidelines. Mill Standard 881 is required for all ACAT programs. NASA also has a very prescriptive method to implement WBS. PMI has published books and has lots of references available online for practitioners. Um, the European, I didn't capture this one, but the European Cooperation for Space Standardization, the ECSS group in Europe, they provide detailed guidance as well on work breakdown structures through their management standards. And they reference principles from ISO 9000, and it really aligns their standards and their product assurance through a harmonized way to do work breakdown structures. So, really, what's the purpose of a WBS? It's an assistant mechanism for any stakeholder, really, in the development of a clear vision of the end products or the outcomes to be produced by the product. So it's a framework for all of the deliverables throughout the life cycle, right? So the WBS extends the product breakdown structure because it's capturing all of the work that's necessary for the project by adding in the non-product work. So if you're constructing a bicycle, well, I have to draft the CAD model. I have to review it. I have to do a lot of these things that are not necessarily part of the bicycle, a component, but these are part of the engineering activities, right? So a work breakdown structure is not a to-do list. It's not like a schedule or an estimate. It's not really a tool to even make your life harder. So it supports very large projects so that you can eliminate risk, and also it will help you with scope creep as well. So you don't want to do more work than what's on that WBS. So it really helps people understand the scope of the kinds of activities that they're producing because it is deliverable based, right? So the benefits, right? It helps prevent work from slipping through the cracks, right? It helps people understand where the pieces fit into the overall project management plan. So, if you're a software developer and you're writing this one piece of the software requirement spec or the software system spec, now you know why your deliverable is due when and how it fits in with the overall structure. It facilitates that communication and cooperation across the whole team. It also helps you prevent changes, right? That WBS is kind of like this is the guide path for everything that you do, right? And it helps get team buy-in and helps build the team, right? It helps people get their mind around the project itself, right? So what do we have to do to create the statement of the work breakdown structure? So a work breakdown structure is first you go through this process of identifying the system or the project end item to be structured, right? So you're trying to understand that scope. What is it that we're building? And then you take that product and you successively subdivide it into increasingly detailed and manageable subsidiary work products or elements, right? So you're taking this product, this bicycle, and you're decomposing it. I have a frame, I have the front wheel, I have the rear wheel, I have the brakes, right? And then what you're going to do is take that sort of product breakdown structure and that's been subdivided, and now use that to determine what the work breakdown structure is, right? So you're gonna focus on these outcomes and identify these deliverables, right? So the focus is supposed to be on the outcomes, not the activities needed to reach them. So it's not the to-do list. Therefore, when you're creating the steps of the work breakdown structures, project managers probably should consider the what more so than the how. When you make a work breakdown structure, use nouns instead of sort of action words to keep the focus on those deliverables themselves as opposed to the activities, right? And again, the work breakdown structure is not a to-do list, right? And you want to review it. You want to make sure that everybody agrees that this is the product and these are the deliverables, and that you have that buy-off from the larger team. So when you're creating the work breakdown structure itself, most people use this hierarchy because you're breaking it down. Level one, and by the way, this particular drawing just has come out of the NASA handbook. Level one always represents the entire thing. So you've got your top thing, the object, your product that you're delivering. You're delivering a space flight project, right? Level two, the elements in the WBS are all of the major operational product elements along with the key work deliverables. So if you've got a spaceflight project, the orange side, you have the spacecraft and you have the payloads that's inside the spacecraft, and then you have all of the subsystems of the payloads. That's the product elements. And so the WBS combines those product elements with the work deliverables. The work deliverables are in the dashed lines in the green. And then levels 3 through 7 are just representing how you're furthering the decomposition of the products and the work. So the work in this drawing is in green, is only at level 2. But each of those levels, level 3, 4, and 5, those are also going to have the work deliverables mixed into that hierarchy. And so this is what makes up your overall work breakdown structure. So watch out, or warning. The deliverables must be captured effectively by the project team as part of the WBS. If it's not part of the WBS, and you need to pay attention to this, if you're contractors, if 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 something is not part of the WBS, then it's not part of the project, right? So it sounds very simple. Unfortunately, it's not really easy, and a lot of projects have what's called scope creep because they're, hey, I can do this extra thing in here as part of the project, or I can produce this extra bit of documentation or training material. That's the kind of stuff that makes projects over budget and behind schedule, right? Contractors, take note. Be sure your statement of work has the items to each of the elements in the WBS. If you get a statement of work and it doesn't align with the WBS, you need to speak up.